All right, so then now let's take a look at a particular example here, or a typical help desk call where a user is unable to connect to their wireless network um, on the west side of the building. So they know their location, and they've been having an issue for a week, and they're only trying to reach out now. Okay, so let's take a look at that case that has been called in of that particular user who cannot connect and has been having issues for the past week. So they gave us information of where they are, location. They told us also that they're using a Samsung device, and we asked them what SSID or WLAN were they connecting to, and they give us that information. So we have three pieces of information. We have the location, we have the model of the device, or at least the manufacturer, and we know what SSID they're actually trying to connect to. So let's try to use Ruckus Analytics here to figure out what this person's issue is without actually knowing what device they're using in terms of what MAC address. So what I would do is I would come in here, and we have the ability to search by network hierarchy. So we can come up to the search bar here and click network hierarchy. They told us the location that they're in, so we can actually search for that because we've programmed the controllers to be different zones or different buildings to be the different zones, so to speak. So Jundee surface, for example, is the zone or building that they're currently in and is part of this smart zone cluster and this network. So I'm going to come into the view details section and look at the analytics incident list for this particular zone. So it's filtered down to one particular access point is having issues the last 24 hours. So if I look at the last 7 days and click apply, it's still, one client and one AP that's been having issues. Doesn't mean it's the same client because they're different dates and different timestamps. So I don't know if this is the actual person or not, right? I can randomly select one of the incident details and come here and kind of see if this is the person, but I'm not 100% positive. If I did know what the MAC address was, then I would right away would see, okay, well, if they knew their username, then, or we can search for the MAC address, then we can be able to take a look at this. But because we don't know, it makes it a little bit more, challenging. But this is where the power of, Ruckus Analytics comes in. We have this feature called Data Explorer, where it allows you to use all these what we call data cubes, which has tons of information and tons of metrics based off of different data cubes. For example, like airtime utilization, AP metrics, applications, connection statistics for clients, failures, inventory, and events. And you use these data cubes to build dashboards in order to get information. So we have, a dashboard that we called Find a Client MAC that we've built from scratch. So we can click on that. And what will appear here is basically a bunch of tables where we have clients with failures, OS manufacturers with failures, SSIDs with failures. So basically anything you can think of that has failures, right? So what we're trying to do is find a client MAC. So again, what do we know? We know the location, we know the type of device, right? The OS manufacturer, and we know the SSID. So we see here we have zones with failures. So now I can scroll down to look for my zone that I'm having an issue on, or I can use the filter up here and type in zone, click it, type in Jundee, click OK, and everything will now filter out to just show me the Jundee surface zone. They've told me that they connect to NSR guest. So I can click on NSR guest and click select. So everything will filter out even more, right? And they told me that they're using a Samsung. So I'm going to click on Samsung and click select. And what am I left with? One single MAC address that's been having an issue. So I will select that. I will take this, copy it, bring it up to the search bar, change it back to clients, paste. And now it will find this client for me. And because they've never connected, we don't know the IP address, the OS type, any of that stuff, right? but we can actually come into view details and do some client troubleshooting. And what we'll see is a lot of red. And so we have 92 different, connection events, which are failures if we blow it up here. And we can use the mouse to scroll and to get a little bit, a more granular view of what's going on. And on the right-hand side, you kind of have a history of what's been happening with this particular device. And right away, we can tell that they've been having a pre-shared key or PSK failure, passphrase mismatch. So this is telling me that they've been trying to connect to the network using a bad WPA2 pre-shared key. And to further that, we can actually click on one of the failures and you'll kind of get a visual connection diagnostic of what's going on and where it is and what the problem is and where it failed, right? So it went through all of its 802.11 authentication association requests and response. And it came to the four-way handshake and it failed on frame 2, which basically means PSK failure, passphrase mismatch. So the call back to the user, or even while you're on the phone to do that first call resolution, is you've typed in the wrong key, right? Here's the proper key for this network. So this is one example that we can leverage with Data Explorer in order to get more information and to find a type of user, right? So this is the power of RUCKUS Analytics.